Hello everyone. So this build is all about switching between Werebear and Werewolf forms. It mainly revolves around the bestial rampage passive. You will switch between forms in order to keep up the attack damage and attack speed boost from the passive. With Shred as the core skill, the build will definitely do good against bosses. You are pretty much unkillable with the amount of fortify and damage reduction you have. The only thing it may lag a bit is clearing big groups of mobs efficiently. Let's dive into the build. So to keep the bestial rampage passive going, we are gonna need one werebear skill that we use a lot and then one werewolf skill that we use a lot. So for this build, I'm going with maul for my basic attack. And for core skill, I chose shred. So you can also choose to go claw and pulverize, but I feel like shred is just overall better than pulverize. Pulverize feels really good, but it just feels really bad when you're fighting bosses. Like shred and the poison damage passive does so much more damage to bosses, and pulverize you have to wait every 12 seconds and you have to be healthy also. Healthy as in you have to remain above 80% life to get that overpower off. So overall I think shred is just better here. So since our basic attack is small, we will mostly be in werebear form most of the time. So the 20% damage plus from bestial rampage passive is guaranteed. And only when we have enough spirit to use shred, we will use 2 or 3 shreds to stay in werewolf form for 2.5 seconds so that we get the attack speed passive from bestial rampage. So just a quick reminder, bestial rampage, you have to be in each form for about at least 2.5 seconds, but the buffs last for 15 seconds. So staying in werebear form will be easy since you're autoing all the time. And then when you have enough spirit, you use shred. I think 2 shreds is enough to stay in werewolf form for like 2.5 seconds. Cause shred does like 3 combos. And then you should be able to get enough spirit maul in the next 15 seconds that the attack speed lasts, and then use shred again to proc the passive again. And then we pick up Iron Fur. So damage reduction if you're in werebear form, and it lasts for 3 seconds after leaving werebear form. So we just need to be in werewolf form for 3 seconds, so most of the time we're gonna have this passive up. So we're picking this up. And next we're gonna pick up Blood Howl and Debilitating Roar. So I had 5 points in Blood Howl, but I don't think 5 points in Blood Howl is worth it. It's only, how much? Like 5% increase in healing. So I shifted the points into Ancestral Fortitude and Vigilance. And yes, in this build, you're gonna be super tanky. Damage reduction from Iron Fur, you're getting damage reduction after you use a defensive skill. And you have 2 defensive skills, and Debilitating Roar reduces nearby enemies' damage dealt by 70%. You can build up a lot of Fortify. So there's Fortify from Roar, there's Fortify from Natural Fortitude. Every time you shapeshift, you are fortified for 5% of your base. And this build is all about shapeshifting, so you're going to be getting a lot of Fortify. Another thing you can do to maximize this passive is, so most of the time you're going to be auto-attacking with Maul. You'll be in werebear form, and you can just use one howl in between to transform into werewolf form. So that's 5% Fortify. And then you immediately auto-attack again, and that's another 5% Fortify, 10% Fortify in a span of a second. That's also the reason I took Howl and Roar. So you can also switch out forms easily if you don't have enough spirit, and you get a lot of defenses and healing. For Blood Howl, I went with Spirit Generation, and for Roar, I went with Healing. And the next skill I took was Poison Creeper. Again, I think Poison Creeper is really good. I just took this for Wave Clear. Since in this build we only have Shred, which is kind of a small AoE, not really great at clearing a lot of mobs, so I took Poison Creeper. And if you don't want Poison Creeper, you can also take Rabies if you like. That's also a decent at clearing a lot of mobs, but I still think Poison Creeper is stronger. And then I went with Trample. So Trample, it helps switch forms, and also it has Unstoppable, so I wanted at least one Unstoppable in this build since we're not taking Bulwark. And then we take the Spirit Generation from Trample. You can also take Natural Trample, but I feel like we have enough Fortify already and a ton of damage reduction. So I feel like we don't need that much defense anymore. So we are generating like 20 Spirit from here and 20 Spirit from Howl. We should have enough Spirit to easily switch between forms because we will be able to use Shred a lot. And then we max out all these passives, the Fortify, Quick Shift. When you shapeshift, the next skill does 50% increased damage for sure. We take this. And then more damage reduction against elites. And just in case you guys didn't know, bosses also counts as elites. So you're gonna have a lot of damage reduction against bosses as well. And of course, the star of the show is Bestial Rampage. We take that. Then for the boons, we take Max Spirit. For Eagle, we're taking 10% attack speed. We're not doing much critical strikes in this build, so we're not picking up Scythe Talon and Avian Wrath. And then we're picking up Energize, another spirit generator so that we can use Shred more. And then we're taking Bolster. Again, more Fortify since we also have 2 defensive skills. So Bolster has a lot of value. And finally, we pick up Critical Strikes with Shapeshifting skills heal for 2% of maximum life. Although we're not doing much critical strikes, that's the only available option for this Snake Spirit. And normally, since this is a leveling build, I usually don't select the aspects because most of them you're not going to get early on, like aspects that will greatly benefit this build. But I've selected a few here, so these are some of the aspects you can get really early. So I picked up Aspect of the Expectant to boost the damage of Shred, and then I took Rapid Aspect just to auto attack faster with Maul to generate Spirit faster, and then Aspect of Retaliation. Your core skills deal up to 20 or 40% increased damage based on the amount of Fortify you have, and in this build you have a ton of Fortify. And then I picked up Mangled Aspect, since most of the time you're going to be in Werebear form, and you get a chance to generate 1 Spirit whenever you hit as a Werebear. So yeah, so to recap, you will be switching a lot from Werebear and Werewolf. You have a ton of damage reduction against mobs and elites and bosses. You have a ton of Fortify. You generate a lot of Spirit so that you can spam Shred and get enough damage output out. So you have good damage output. You just like a bit of mob clear, but we have that every 20 seconds with Poison Creeper. But yeah, that's the build. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for watching. See you again soon.